Look at that. So if you look down in the bottom left again, the shield is getting stacked by what we're picking up. Even then, I literally ate that. This Lightning Arrow Ranger is a complete rework of what I've previously been running and ensures consistent success throughout T15 mapping. Not only does this build have a solid clear speed, but it also has incredible survivability and sustain through taking advantage of both high evasion rating and a clever interaction that I've been taught that allows us to stack a large energy shield, and along with some skill and gear choice changes and a particular amulet anointment to really up the ante. More on that later. This build will have you absolutely annihilating T15s with absolutely no problem at all, and not having to worry about getting killed by one-shots. More on that as well later, folks. Be sure to drop the video a like and sub to the channel to keep informed. I stream on both YouTube and Twitch, so jump in and come ask any questions. Now, this build leverages both Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ash to offer us even more clear potential. We simply just need to use Lightning Arrow now for general trash clear situations, and when we encounter a pack or a rare boss, we throw down Orb of Storms on top of them and spam Lightning Rods to cause massive amounts of procs, whilst also spamming Lightning Arrow in. Cast on Shock goes berserk and everything dies at a very satisfying pace. However, you'll be pleased to hear that I've also approached this with a way of allowing you to continue to use your Lightning Arrow bows and quivers that we've been working on together moving forwards. And I've also made sure that this leverages an insane survivability mechanic, which I will go over later in the video. We're sitting at 17k DPS with our Lightning Arrow, and it's set up like this. Lightning Infusion for 25% increased lightning damage. Primal Armament, 25% more elemental damage. Martial Tempo, 25% more attack speed. And we're still rocking Pierce at the end of it all. Projectiles from supported skills pierce an enemy. I'm wondering if I could actually afford to get rid of that now because of the way I've done the passive tree. I'd like to know what you think as well, folks. Moving into Lightning Rod. So Lightning Rod has been upped to 20% quality with Gem Cutter Prisms. This is the first one you should do. It gives you a higher burst radius. It goes up to 2.4 meters. Very nice. We've got Scatter Shot for multiple projectiles to land, so it makes the area more cluttered with them. Concentrated Effect, so supported skills do 40% more area damage. Close Combat, supported skills deal 25% more attack damage to enemies within a 1 meter radius of you, so you're going to be close to things a lot of the time with this build. It just ups the damage in that sense, especially when we're looking at the cast on shock procs. And we've put in Heft on here, which gives us 30% more maximum physical damage, which works really nicely here. I'm still running Voltaic Mark manually. That is because it just adds to the clear speed, and there's a few things here that allow us to kind of ramp up off that. So we've got Coursing Current, shocking hits from supported skills have a 50% chance to also shock more enemies, which is great. We've also got Innovate attacks, gain 35% of damage as lightning damage for 3 seconds on killing a shocked enemy with supported skills, also great. And Lasting Shock supported skills have 100% increased shock duration. Now, Orb of Storms has been added. I've removed Magnetic Salvo and I've put Orb of Storms in here, and I'll talk about how that works in a moment, but this is socketed with a chain support gem to make sure that we get loads of procs and loads of chains going on with our lightning rods, which is where the damage comes on. More on that in a moment. Overabundance, the supported skill has a +1 to limit. So in this case, the limit is 1 to Orb of Storms. This gives us 2 Orbs of Storms, so we could throw down 2. So if you look, 1, 2. Yeah, we can only have 2 up at a time instead of 1, which is really, really nice. And Persistence, supported skills have 40% more skill effect duration, which is absolutely fine. And then moving on to the plethora of buffs and passives that we are now rocking. We've got Herald of Thunder up, which is socketed with Neural Overload. This means supported skills electrocute primed enemies on hit. Very nice. Electrocute, so lightning damage from supported skills contributes to electrocution build-up. And we've got Long Shot, so supported skills deal 35% more attack damage to enemies further than 7 meters away. So it goes crazy when you proc this now. It just clears everything, and it's hitting things sometimes off the screen. So this is just a nice flat bit of damage that increases the chaos even further. It's great. We've added in Herald of Ash. Okay, folks, so this is a really interesting one, and you'll see from the footage there's a bit of a fire ring around my explosions now as well, which is great. This, when you kill an enemy with overkill, so just to quickly talk about what that is, overkill is any damage from a hit in excess of the enemy's remaining life when it's killed. TLDR, we do this all the time now. This means that when we kill them with this overkill mechanic, it causes an explosion that ignites nearby enemies based on the overkill damage dealt, so it just causes a huge AoE explosion and it chains everywhere. It's absolutely fantastic, and we've socketed this with Fire Mastery for +1 to supported fire skills, and we've also socketed it with magnified effect, so supported skills have a larger area of effect. Really nice. We're still running with Cast on Shock, and that is because when it triggers, it allows us to fire those lightning balls that do insane damage to bosses and packs. This is socketed with obviously Ball Lightning, Impetus for that increased energy, and also energy retention. Skills triggered by supported meta gems, 35% chance to refund half the energy cost. This just keeps it flowing more. This is my next 4 socket gem skill, and I would put deceleration in this to make the ball move slower, so it's going to proc more and ultimately do more damage. That's where I'd go next. Wind Dancer, we've got this because it's our premier defense skill. Basically, we socket this with blind and with expanse, so the effect is bigger, and if we get hit, it causes an AoE that blinds everything around us. It's really effective at keeping us alive. It's one of 3 defensive layers that we are now rocking. And now this, folks, this is the important part of our survivability and where this build has totally been changed in terms of how it functions. We're running Grim Feast, okay? Now, Grim Feast feeds on corpses to bolster energy shield, and while active, enemies and reviving minions that die in your presence have a chance to drop Grim Remnants. Picking up these remnants grants you energy shield, which can overflow maximum energy shield. It actually doubles. I will show you some footage whilst I'm talking here now, but essentially, if you look at the shield, it's 1009. I've got this from gear. I'll talk about that in a moment. This will be up to 2018 shield. So we'll be running around when we've picked everything up with 2018 shield and 2000 life. The way this works is we are just killing trash mobs as quickly as we can, picking up the cores that they drop, the souls, and if you look in the bottom left, you'll see the energy shield is starting to grow. And because we are also stacking a load of evasion, what are we on? 87. And because we haven't taken acrobatics, we've just got so many layers of defense. If they do get through the shield, which will max out at around 2018, if they do get through that shield, we have 2000 life. So there's just multiple layers now of safety whilst putting out, like, look, taking hits there. It's fine. I'm being a bit sloppy and careless trying to demonstrate it. Look at all these. And we throw down Orb of Storms on boss packs, blow them up. It's just streamlined the lightning arrow process. I find this so much better than magnetic salvo. It's just so much more effective and quicker. But it just clear rooms instantly. In terms of Grim Feast, you're killing trash mobs at such a rapid rate and running around and picking up these remnants that they drop on the floor that your shield is just getting continuously topped off. So you've got this extra added layer of defense. You've got your evasion rating, which is sky high. You've got your energy shield, which is really high. And you've got 2000 life. And you've also got Wind Dancer proccing the blind and pushing things away and all that good stuff. So you've just got so many mechanics to stop you getting one-shotted, to give you a bit of breathing space. There are times where you can just literally stand in a breach and just let things swarm you, because you can be rest assured you're going to be able to handle it on T15, and that's a really nice place to be. So, how much spirit does all this cost? That is the caveat here, folks. I have got 184 spirit with 4 spirit left over. Okay, so it's costing me 180 spirit to run this setup. I will show you now, before we do go into the gear choices, where I'm getting my spirit from. So we've got 40 spirit on the chest and we've got 44 spirit on the amulet. I would recommend that you try and push this even higher if you can. If you can get 190, you can use something like Clarity or something like Cannibalism in your passive skills to give you either life leech or more mana regen. That would be my advice. It's not essential. This works absolutely fine without it. Now, another thing I am a massive advocate for is our channel sponsor, Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming will be pulling out all the stops over the festive period, giving you insane discounts on all your favorite titles. Instant Gaming will be offering you new, exciting deals every single day. This is a great opportunity to purchase blockbuster games from this year past, such as Black Myth Wukong or Space Marine 2, or maybe even Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Or perhaps snap yourself up a superb deal on a highly anticipated title coming up early next year, such as Monster Hunter Wilds or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at insanely discounted prices. Instant Gaming is 100% legit because they acquire all their keys directly from the source, providing you authenticity without compromise, and this is reflected in their 4.7 Trustpilot score from over 720,000 reviews. Instant Gaming is not just another key marketplace, folks. Everything comes from authorized sellers. So, if you want to save some money on video games and support me and the Phase Shift community, click on the link in the description or the pinned comment below and enjoy those juicy Instant Gaming discounts. Now, back to the video. Now, in terms of the passive tree, I've almost got the whole thing on the screen here, and I will obviously put this on the Mobalytics link so you can check that out there, but there have been a number of changes to factor in certain things and try and push our damage a little bit higher. So, first and foremost, I've got all 4 of the ascendancy points now. If I was going to recommend which way to go, I would honestly say it's entirely up to you. I prefer, when I play these sorts of games, to go the survivability route. I went down there first, down to the Wind Ward max damage reduction approach, and then this way. In terms of the tree itself, what has changed since the last video? There's quite a few things, actually. We've completely got rid of this area down here. We've got rid of that joining point here, and we've cut in this way to take elemental attack damage, catalysis to get 20% increased elemental damage with attacks. We've taken elemental attack damage. We've got a dual socket there, which I've not yet put in. I'll talk about why in a moment. We've gone down here for damage against ailments for 12% damage with hits. We've gone here for 12% damage with hits against enemies. And we've gone here with exploit for 25% damage with hits against enemies affected by elemental ailments. How did we get here? What did we take off? I took away the lightning resistance penetration up here. This was 4. And then I also took off 1 down here. And I believe that got us all the way across. I've also got skill speed increase here, skill speed increase here, and increased movement speed and skill speed. And we're using Pierce here, which is why do we need to bother with it on the lightning arrow? I'm not sure, folks. Let me know what you think. But we've also taken, obviously, feathered fletching still, so we're still getting buffs from our projectile speed. But fundamentally, that's all that's changed. We've still got our lightning tree here. We've still got everything going on with the heralds up here. We've got more attack speed up here, and we've got our evasion rating here. We're not taking acrobatics. In terms of the dual sockets, you want to be looking for maximum energy shield increase as a necessity if you want to increase your survivability even more. And then you can get things like increased magnitude of shock. You can get increased whatever you want damage-wise. But for me personally, it's all about getting that maximum energy shield increase. And that's why this one's empty. I need to find a duel that's got that. I should probably get a placeholder, but I haven't yet. Over here, I've got one that's increasing the magnitude of ailments and also herald skills, dealing more damage, which is great for us as well. Blinding enemies on hit. The main thing, folks, though, is trying to get as much maximum energy shield as possible for this build to work. And that leads us on nicely to a point I'm going to go over before we go into the gear about anointing amulets. So if we look here, I have got an amulet that is anointed now with Ancient Aegis. So Ancient Aegis gives us 60% increased armor from equipped body armor. We're not interested in that. What we are interested in is the 60% increased energy shield from body armor. So this is giving us 60% increased energy from our chest piece, much like this passive bestial skin that gives us 100% increased evasion rating from our equipped body armor. If we look here, I'm using a hybrid evasion rating energy shield armor. It's just upping both of them really nicely. But you might be like, well, hang on a minute, this is nowhere on the tree. It's actually all the way over here. And I've used an anointment to get this. This is something that you get from doing delirium mirrors. I will do a separate video explaining what that actually entails and is. So if you haven't already, do sub to the channel. But this has made a massive difference to our survivability, and I think it's quite a cheap one to get as well. I think the only one I had to buy was Envy, and that was 3 exalts, so go for it, folks. I just want to shout out 3 Path of Exile creators that I have learned so much from in the early days of this game, and that's Palsteron, the person that has actually taught me this technique. I watched one of their videos about how to up your defenses as a ranger, and this is where I've taken this idea from and put it into this build. It's such a great channel. He's brilliant. He's really informative. Definitely go and show them some support. And also just 2 of the creators that I'm really enjoying watching just because I enjoy their content and because they're teaching me a lot is DS Lily and Gazzy TV. Both really, really great. I think Gazzy's still doing his crazy subathon. Go to bed, man. You look absolutely destroyed. And both of them, again, just really informative and educational, and it's really helped me learn the game, and it's allowing me to kind of weave in these new bits of knowledge into the builds that I'm creating, and I'm getting more and more savvy at kind of understanding how I can take things in their own direction, and I'm really excited about moving forward with this game. So thank you to you 3 creators, and folks, if you're watching this, go and check out their channels. Awesome content. In terms of the gear itself, I'm going to separate this into a few areas rather than rushing through. The first thing you're going to need if you want to run this exact setup is spirit. Where do I get the spirit from? I've got it on my chest. I've got 40 spirit on my chest, and I've also got 44 spirit on my amulet, along with the ancient aegis we just mentioned. Let's look at the breakdown. So I've focused on getting as much increased maximum energy shield as possible. I've focused on getting as much increased energy shield as possible with the amulet. It's got a bit of cold resist. It's got some really nice attribute bonuses on it there, but it's not the best. It's also got increased evasion rating. It's basically a survivability and an enabling amulet, so we can actually use all our gear, which is great. And then we've also got our body armor here, 881 evasion rating and 332 energy shield. It's not the best, folks, but it certainly does work. We could definitely up the ante with this. It's got increased evasion and energy shield twice. We've socketed it. It's got 3 types of resistance, and it's got a bit of max life. The max life isn't important because you can get it from other places, but if you want to keep costs down, that will be a way of keeping the amount of exalts these cost down. In terms of our bow, it's exactly the same as the previous video. It's high physical damage where possible, with some lightning damage if you want. The way that I would recommend that you go with this, though, is if you can get a bow with cold damage, that's where we're heading towards, so we can start using cold skills as well. That seems to be the way to go if you want to do the absolute end game, so that's what I'm fishing for at the moment, but this has certainly put us in a position where we can clear things and start getting that loot. It's also got increased attack speed, it's got physical damage as life, and a bit of life per hit. I would recommend, if you can, try and get some mana leech. That's what this build is lacking for me at the moment, and that's just luck of the draw with the items that I've got, and that's sort of the caveat to how I've been playing this, but you can definitely remedy this very easily with some mana leech. In terms of the gloves, these are just pretty standard. I've got increased physical, increased lightning, increased life, crit damage, strength, and fire res. You could get some attack speed on these. You could pump the damage even higher. You could get more max life. It's totally up to you, folks. I've socketed this with cold resistance. It could also obviously be better in terms of our energy shield. This has only got evasion rating and armor. It's something that I need to upgrade, but that's what I would recommend. In terms of the belt, this is a absolutely amazing belt. I've got 158 max life and 3 resistances all over 30%, so really tasty there. This is something I'd recommend you try grab. I've got some energy shield boots, which only have 25% increased movement speed. Really nice life, really nice mana, really nice intelligence, and a bit of chaos resistance. Again, this is an item that I'm looking to upgrade. You want to get your movement speed up as high as possible, and you also want to just be using it as survivability, really getting more resistances and whatnot on there. Really effective. And in terms of the rings, I've just gone for a flat lightning damage ring with a bit of evasion rating and a bit of max life and some lightning res, which is really tasty. And that mana regen really helps us out. When you can get mana regen on pieces, go for it. In terms of the other ring, this is one of my core resistance pillars. It's got 26% all resistance and an extra 25% fire res on top of that. It's got some life per kill, and it's got a bit of life and some mana, which is really nice. In terms of the mask, we've got pretty standard fare here, evasion rating and energy shield combo with lots of fire res and some lightning resistance and a good chunky bit of max life, and of course increased evasion and energy shield and adding to the maxes there as well. So you can see we're trying to lift our survivability through pumping the energy shield and evasion where possible and trying to balance that nicely with the damage, and as you've seen, it works really well. And the quiver is a 10% increased attack speed, prime quiver. This is the best type of quiver you can get. Fish for these. If you can get double attack speed, then you're absolutely laughing. Because we're using feathered fletching, that 41% increased projectile speed is absolutely essential. It gives us a flat damage increase there. If you get a high dex roll on one of these as well, because you're using the quiver tree that gives us 80% enhancement to all our quiver stats, this just solves all your dexterity problems basically, folks. It's really nice. If you can get a little bit of leech and mana leech on there as well, that's great. Unfortunately, the mana leech is low on this one. Getting it a bit higher would be great. And then, of course, increased damage with bow skills and as much flat physical, flat lightning or flat cold as possible to make this build really pop off as well, folks. Check out this next video. It's got you covered. Take care of yourselves. Keep having fun. Come check out a stream on YouTube or Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one.